So contextualism, blah, blah, blah. So the idea of contextualism, there's the truth is created by, never mind. That's, well, I want to do blah, 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 blah. Okay, I just try to remember. Okay, why are we the way we are? And then we'll do a couple extras. But this is like a human and a dog going for a walk. Humans have a hard time being in the present moment. And that's because the human mind can turn anything into anything. So what do I mean by that? You could be eating a hamburger and go like, delicious, happy. Then you could take another bite, I'm getting fat. Now the hamburger is negative. Then you could eat another bite, I love hamburger, happy again. Then you could eat another bite, what's wrong with me? Why can't I control my appetite? So you can turn a hamburger to happy, bad, happy, bad, happy, bad. Our mind can turn anything into anything. And that's why in acceptance and contemporary therapy, we say, well, your mind can do a lot of things, and just notice that and not try to worry about it too much. It's kind of like the Buddhism. Your mind does a lot of things that you don't want it to do. And dogs, for example, don't have that problem. A dog will, if you give it a hamburger, it'll go like, eat it and go take a nap. The dogs don't need psychiatrists and psychologists because they just don't, you know? So the kind of the question becomes like, well, like, why are we like this? Why do we have this problem? And this is something that acceptance and commitment therapy kind of helped with in terms of theory. So this is going to be a little bit different. So the thing is, I kind of talked about this yesterday, but humans have something that other animals do not have. And what we have is language. And language is really, really important because it gives us the ability to think symbolically, to think in our heads. Do we translate this or, oh, okay. To think symbolically. I'm just doing this so I can...
Terus đây băng dương đại biểu từ act nó nhưng mua mua theo relation of the theory nó cứ quan trọng vậyตลอดตัวมันจะนอนตั้งปีบริเวณตัวฉันไอ้เด็กเขาคลายเคลียร์ปีเหมือนเราในซักหนูเยอะมีมาเราอย่างนี้แต่ซาเรื่องมุดคือผิดสั่ง
So you see this thing and it's just an object, but when you were maybe a little child, you would see this object. And in America, anyways, your mom or dad would say, that's called a lemon. So your little child would be like, this goes with this sound, lemon. Lemon doesn't mean anything. It's just a sound, like lemon doesn't mean anything. But you very quickly, as a child, form a connection between this object and this sound. And you can do that very easily. Then somebody taught you the sound lemon goes with these squiggly lines like L-E-M-O-N. These don't mean anything, but they get connected with the sound and they get connected with the object, and pretty soon you as a human could see this, say that's called a lemon. You could see the letters and say that's a lemon. The letters would remind you of the object, the sound would remind you of the object, and you would form this connection very quickly. By the time you were 3 years old, you learned maybe 1 million exposures to language. Many, many, many words. And once you learned lemon, you're never going to forget it. That's called language. So you develop this ability to name things, and once you name something, you remember it. No other animal on the planet can do this. You can't teach a dog to read. You can't teach a gorilla. Maybe a little bit you can teach a gorilla, maybe. But only humans can do this. It's really unique. So great, we can give things names. The thing is, we can, okay, yeah.
ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់សង្ខេបពីលើអីដែលគាត់ចង់ highlight នៅក្នុងនឹងតិចនៅក្នុង relation of friend theory របស់យើងហ្នឹងសំខាន់ត្រង់ថាសម្រាប់មនុស្សយើងខុសពីសត្វត្រង់ចំណុចហ្នឹងយើងមានសមត្ថភាពក្នុងការដាក់ឈ្មោះក្នុងការមានភាសាមួយហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងនៅឧទាហរណ៍ខ្លីមួយនេះនៅពេលដែលក្មេងម្នាក់កូនងាម្នាក់កើតមកគាត់អត់ទាន់ដឹងអីទេប៉ុន្តែដោយសារតែគាត់ត្រូវបានចិញ្ចឹមបីបាច់ដោយឪពុកម្ដាយ ចឹងឪពុកម្ដាយបានប្រើភាសាអីមួយទៅលើ object អីមួយហ្នឹងដោយវត្ថុក្នុងលក្ខខណ្ឌនេះគឺក្រូចឆ្មាចឹងបើសិនយើងកើតងាមកយើងឃើញរូបហ្នឹងមូលដោយអានេះកំពុងហឺតចឹងខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងថានឹងកំពុងហឺតទេខ្ញុំគ្រាន់ឃើញរូបរាងវាអញ្ចឹងកាន់វាអញ្ចឹងប៉ះទៅអញ្ចេះហើយអត់ដឹងអាពណ៌ហ្នឹងគេហៅពណ៌អីទៀតអាពាក្យពណ៌ហ្នឹងក៏បានមកពីការវិវត្តរបស់ភាសារបស់យើងអញ្ចឹងអានេះគ្រាន់តែជាឧទាហរណ៍ខ្លីមួយនៅក្នុង object relational friend theory ហ្នឹងគឺការដែលយើងអាចផ្សារភ្ជាប់ទំនាក់ទំនងជាមួយនឹងរឿងរ៉ាវឬក៏គំនិតអីមួយទៅនឹងវត្ថុហ្នឹងដោយសារតែយើងមានសមត្ថភាពភ្ជាប់វាជាមួយនឹងភាសារបស់យើងជាងយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមដឹងថាអាហ្នឹងជាអី
And so this is good. And what we also learn is we can add many other ideas about lemon. We could say good, sour, happy, smells like clean. Many relationships can be connected to the idea of lemon in our mind. So we can have the name, and then we have its different qualities.
ចឹងដូចគ្នាតដែរចឹងនៅក្នុងក្រូចឆ្មាមួយហ្នឹងដំបូងយើងឃើញទៅរូបរាងវាបែបហ្នឹងឯងអាហ្នឹងហៅថាយ៉ាងមូលតិចទៅមានស្លឹកហើយមានពណ៌យ៉ាងលឿងចឹងទៅដល់ពេលដឹងអាហ្នឹងថាអូខេក្រូចឆ្មាគេទៅសេកជាងរោសអូក្រូចthat's how ក្រូចឆ្មាអញ្ចឹងយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមផ្សារភ្ជាប់វា associate ពាក្យក្រូចឆ្មាទៅហ្នឹងទៅនឹងអាគុណនាមដែលយើងដាក់ទៅអញ្ចឹងមានឧទាហរណ៍ពេលខ្លះយើងឃើញនៅឃើញក្រូចឆ្មាជូដល់ពេលជូហ្នឹងចាប់ផ្ដើមនឹកឃើញអីមួយទៀតទៅមានន័យគេយើងចូលចិត្តក្រូចឆ្មាយើងគិតថាវាល្អចឹងទៅឬក៏មួយទៀតដោយសារក្លិនវាយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមមានអារម្មណ៍ថាអូចូលទៅក្នុងកន្លែងហ្នឹងមានអារម្មណ៍ស្រស់ស្រាយអញ្ចឹងគ្រាន់ក្រូចឆ្មាមួយម៉ាត់ហ្នឹងពាក្យមួយហ្នឹងអាចឲ្យយើងផ្សារភ្ជាប់ទៅនឹងអារម្មណ៍ឬក៏ជាមួយនឹងគំនិតផ្សេងច្រើននៅក្នុងត្រឹមតែវត្ថុមួយហ្នឹង
So once we form these connections of lemon, once you learn lemon and you have all the connections with lemon, you won't forget it. You'll remember it for a long time. For example, I could take you into therapy and say, whenever you see this thing, don't think lemon. How much therapy would you need before you would never think of that as a lemon? I could never do it. I could have you in therapy for 100 years. I say, don't think lemon. You're going to think lemon. So the idea is we form these ideas and we can't get rid of them. It's helpful. It's really helpful. And we don't do it with just lemons. We do it with I, me. So I can say lemon, good lemon, bad lemon, right lemon, wrong lemon. But we also form I, unlovable, not good enough, can't do it. We have I that we have characteristics about just like lemon. And once we form these connections about I, unlovable, it's not going away either. I can't forget lemon. I can't forget I.
ចឹងក្រូចឆ្មាមិញហ្នឹងគ្រាន់តែជាវត្ថុមួយដែលយើងគិតថាយើងចាំរឿងហ្នឹងមួយហើយអីដែលយើងដឹងហ្នឹងគឺយើងអាចយើងងាយក្នុងការចាំវាប៉ុន្តែការដែលធ្វើឲ្យផ្លិចទៅវិញដូចក៏ឧទាហរណ៍នៅក្នុង therapy បើសិនជាយើងមាន client អតិថិជនមកមួយអញ្ចឹងយើងគាត់ប្រាប់យើងថាខ្ញុំចង់ផ្លិចរឿងនេះមួយយើងបើសិនជាយើងជួយគាត់ចាំទៅលើរឿងហ្នឹងប្រហែលជាងាយប៉ុន្តែឲ្យគាត់ផ្លិចទៅវិញជាមួយនឹងឧទាហរណ៍មិញទាំងអស់មិញហ្នឹងអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាយើងមាន passenger ទាំងអស់គ្នាអញ្ចឹងចង់ឲ្យគាត់ផ្លិចថាខ្ញុំមិន good enough ខ្ញុំមិន unlovable ឲ្យគាត់ផ្លិចអាហ្នឹងប្រហែលជាពិបាកជាងឲ្យគាត់ផ្សារភ្ជាប់ពាក្យហ្នឹងជាមួយនឹងតំណែងថ្មីទៅនឹងគំនិតហ្នឹង
So we also react to you. I have ideas about who you are. Lemon, 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 or different things. So we also react to other people. We create in our mind who another person is. We make up, we construct ideas.
ចឹងដូចគ្នាដែរនៅពេលដែលយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមមានតំណែងជាមួយអ្នកណាម្នាក់ដូចជាខ្ញុំដឹងខ្លួនខ្ញុំថា passenger របស់ខ្ញុំ not good enough ចឹងខ្ញុំចាប់ផ្ដើមមើលទៅអ្នកដទៃខ្ញុំមើលឃើញទៅបងខាងនេះឈ្មោះអីបងខាងនេះខ្ញុំផ្សារភ្ជាប់មួយនឹងព័ត៌មានអីគឺយើងមាន association ការផ្សារភ្ជាប់ជាមួយគំនិតអីមួយជាមួយនឹងអ្នកផ្សេងគ្រប់គ្នាហ្នឹង
So in a way we're reacting to ideas not reality for the most part. We're reacting to ideas about things, but not the reality of things.
ចឹងជួនកាលនៅពេលដែលយើង form judgment ឬក៏មានអីមួយដែលយើងខ្ញុំប្រើពាក្យ impression ចុះដូចជាយើងមើលឃើញបុគ្គលម្នាក់ហ្នឹងយើងមានប្រតិកម្មភ្លាមជាមួយនឹងគាត់អញ្ចឹងជួនកាលយើងបានឆ្លើយតបទៅវិញដោយផ្អែកទៅលើប្រតិកម្មហ្នឹងតែមិនមែនជាការពិតទេអញ្ចឹងវាគ្រាន់តែជា impression មួយដែលយើងមានជាមួយនឹងបុគ្គលម្នាក់ហ្នឹងទោះបីជាពេលខ្លះវាមិនមែនជាការពិតក៏ដោយ
So we did it in here. In the beginning, remember, I said, introduce yourself, or in the beginning I said, introduce, you're perfect. And you heard that and you say, okay, what does that really mean? What should I say? And you reacted to that question based on your thoughts, your construction of what you think should and should not be said the first time when we did perfect with you. The second time after I did passenger and we did passengers, you introduce yourself and you notice the second time people reveal much more. That's because you began to see this room as safer and as more positive and more free to express yourself. So your ideas about this room and the people in this room changed, and that created freedom for you. So we're always reacting to how we think things are more than how things really are.
Okay, how to translate that?
I'll explain this better. You go ahead and then I'll try to do better.
Okay. ចឹងខ្ញុំត្រឡប់ទៅលើរបៀបដែលយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាណែនាំខ្លួនមិញហ្នឹងបើសិនជាយើងចាប់អារម្មណ៍តែមាន3ទី1យើងអាចធ្វើការណែនាំខ្លួនជាលក្ខណៈ professional ប្រាប់ថាខ្ញុំឈ្មោះនេះខ្ញុំមានតួនាទីនេះចា៎នឹងរបៀបទី1របៀបទី2យើងចាប់ផ្ដើមដោយរបៀបគាត់មានការសន្យាអីមួយពីថ្ងៃហ្នឹងតទៅអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាបានគិតថាបានគាត់ត្រឡប់ទៅវិញអាចតាក់ទងគាត់បានគ្រប់ពេលបើសិនជាមានសំណួរឥឡូវទី3វាអាចជាអារម្មណ៍របស់ខ្លួនឯងដែលយើងផ្សារភ្ជាប់ជាមួយនឹង passenger របស់យើងរៀងខ្លួនអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាសាកល្បងប្រៀបធៀបអាទី1ទី2ជាមួយនឹងអាទី3មិញហ្នឹងនៅពេលដែលពួកខ្ញុំចាប់ផ្ដើម introduce ខ្ញុំឈ្មោះ Lynette ខ្ញុំមាន passenger មួយដែលខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍ថាខ្ញុំអត់ល្អគ្រប់គ្រាន់គ្រប់ពេលអញ្ចឹងអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាមាន passenger រៀងខ្លួន doesn't matter not good enough aggressive not a good mother អាទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងបើសិនជាយើងប្រៀបធៀបទាំងពីរវាគឺជាប្រតិកម្មនៃការឆ្លើយតបរបស់យើងនៅក្នុងខួរក្បាលរបស់យើងឆ្លើយតបទៅលើប្រតិកម្មដែលយើងមានជាមួយនឹងរឿងហ្នឹងរវាងពីររឿងមិញហ្នឹងគ្រាន់តែការណែនាំជាមួយនឹងឈ្មោះនឹងតួនាទីប្រៀបធៀបទៅនឹងអីមួយដែលយើងបង្ហាញពីខ្លួនយើងជាចំណុចខ្សោយជាងយើងចាប់អារម្មណ៍ថាយើងបង្កើតបរិយាកាសមួយនៅក្នុងបន្ទប់យើងដូចជាសុវត្ថិភាពជាងមុនជាងចាប់ផ្ដើមមានទឹកភ្នែកចាប់ផ្ដើមមានការចែករំលែកបន្ថែមដោយសារតការខុសគ្នាតែពីរហ្នឹងដោយបង្ហាញពីខ្លួនឯងបន្ថែមបង្ហាញពីចំណុចខ្សោយក្នុងរបៀបមួយដើម្បីជួយឲ្យប្រតិកម្មពីរហ្នឹងខុសគ្នា
Okay. So let me kind of give, so this is kind of the theory, and I just want to explain why this is important. So the idea is we're trying to find out how the clients are thinking. So I'll give you some case examples. And these are often the best teachers that you're going to have in your life are going to be your clients. Your clients will be your best teachers many, many times. I've learned so much from them. So, and I think of these ones all the time. I have different ones, but I have many, but these are some of my favorite teachers. So this example is a guy, he's 45, and I was working in a medical hospital, and it was on a cancer unit. And he was getting cancer treatment, but it wasn't going well. He developed an infection, and he was going to die for sure within like probably 2-3 weeks. He wasn't going to live very long. The doctors asked me to see this patient because they said he's not sleeping. He's not going to sleep. He's up all night, and he's not sleeping at all, and we really worried about him. So that was why they asked me to go see this patient. So you're just like you guys, you'd have to say, okay, why is he not sleeping? What's going on? So I go meet with him, and I ask him, so you're not sleeping, what's going on? And he says, well, after we talk a little bit, his fear is that he's going to fall asleep and he won't wake up again, that he'll die. And so he doesn't want to fall asleep because he's afraid he will never wake up again. So sleeping for him represented dying. And so he's trying to avoid dying by not sleeping, okay? That's step one. But we're doing ACT, and we have to say, well, we have to ask, just like with you guys, what's the problem with dying? What is it about dying that is a problem for you? And I'll tell you, I've worked with many dying patients, and it's never about dying. It's never about dying. It's something else. And so for him it was, well, he's a man's man. He was a very successful man. And he said, well, I'm afraid that if I'm going to die, I have 2 young boys, one's 11, one's 13. They won't have a father anymore. And see, I get a little, and he said, no one will be there to guide them, to teach them how to be a man. And so I don't want to die because I'll be not doing my job as a father. I'm like, oh. So for him, dying meant something very different than dying. It was about not losing his ability to be a father. So what do we do with that, right? What do we do with that? The question for him becomes like, how can we help him die as a good father? What would that look like for him? And so, you know, he kind of said, well, I wish I could write something that they could read in the future that would guide them and they could learn from, so that even after I'm dead, they'll remember me and live by these words. But like many of you, he had a passenger, and his passenger said, I'm not smart enough to write something that will guide my children. Right? So his passenger was keeping him from, because he would try to write, but he says, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And so his passenger was keeping him from writing the thing that he felt would be needed for his children to live a good life after he's dead. So we have to do acceptance and commitment therapy with him. His second passenger was, if I talk to them about this, I think I'll cry. And his second passenger was, you're a weak man if you cry. So I don't want to talk to them because they'll see me cry and they'll think I'm weak. So we have 2 passengers that is keeping him from being able to do what he thinks is really, really important for his children, right? So what's our therapy? Our therapy is about helping him learn to write his final words to his children and have the passenger be present, which will make him think it's not good enough. And to let him know that crying for his children will not take away his ability to be a good father, right? So that's what the act was about. So I met with him, you know, every day. We would just meet and we'd say like, how's it going? And he would be working on his, writing this thing. And all the time he's like, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good. I say, okay, that's your passenger. That's going to happen. You're going to have this thought that it's not good enough. But I want you to keep writing no matter what. Because does it really matter what he writes? Not really, right? It doesn't really matter. His children are going to remember. And does it really matter if he cries? It doesn't really matter. But for him, he needed to work through that. So, you know, anyway, so we work on it a little bit every day. And I'm gonna cry now because every time I think of this guy, I'm very proud of him, and he's a very good man. So, you know, we practiced that, and he would pretend like I'm his child, and he would practice what he wanted to tell them. And so I give him a little feedback, like, good job, you know, like that. And we'd practice when his passengers got in the way. We would practice like diffusion, letting go of those thoughts. So the day came where he's like, okay, today I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk to my boys. And I'm like, okay, go for it. And so I kind of waited, you know, like waited by the nurse's station, and he goes, and I see his 2 boys go in. And, you know, they go in and he talks with them for, you know, maybe 20 minutes, I don't know. And he comes out and the boys are crying, you know. And he talks to his wife, and, you know, she's crying. So like, oh, wow, okay, he did it. And so I go in and I talk to him. He's like, I did it. He goes, and my passengers were there. They told me I did a bad job. And they told me that, and I cried. And so his passengers were there in his final moments talking to his boys, but he did it, right? He did what he needed to do for his boys. And so that was so brave, right? It was so brave for him to make these final words to his boys. And this part gets me. So the next, you know, anyway, I'll just say it, and I'll cry. But the next day I go to see him, and he died like 1 hour later. Not kidding. So, you know, I think about him a lot because it taught me that he kept alive to love his children. And he suffered greatly so that he could give them something to live by. And so to me, that's an example of love. And it's an example of how you can use, techniques like ACT to overcome really, really difficult circumstances for this man. And he taught me a lot about what love looks like, and taught me a lot about how passengers, if he listened to those passengers, he would have never given his final words, right? It would have kept him from doing the very most important thing in his life. So letting go of those passengers and letting them be present allowed him to present these messages to his children. And it doesn't matter what he said to his kids, right? It doesn't matter. But what he did is and so I don't know, I just think of many cases like this where the suffering that patients go through is really heroic. They're heroes. They're trying to overcome their passengers to live a good life. Who's bad mom? Is it bad mom over there? Is that? A person who's a bad mom, feels like a bad mom, is loving their children as best they can. That's a hero, right? A person who feels unlovable gives love to her clients. That's heroic, right? So what we're seeing in patients is really honorable. I don't see these as symptoms. I don't see these as disorders. I see patients struggling to create meaning and purpose in their lives in the presence of suffering, and we're helping them build a good life with suffering. And to me, they're all heroes. They're all heroes. And to really respect them for that. So we're never trying to fix them. So I think, I don't know, that's like the big idea behind ACT, if you know what I mean. And many, many patients like this, many patients, where you learn from them and we try to help them live the good life they have in the presence of suffering. So that's kind of, I don't know, let's just give you your clients are the best teachers. So I remember this guy now. And I saw him 10 years ago. I still cry every time. And many patients like that, and you'll see them. So I love that ACT says, don't look at it as you're broken, but like you're a hero. You're doing something amazing. Okay? All right. Oh, you're going to translate? Okay, go for it. Well, I'm going like,
ចឹងខ្ញុំគិតថាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាចាប់មួយនឹងខ្លឹមសាររបស់គាត់បានច្រើននៅក្នុងរឿងមិញហើយអញ្ចឹងជាខ្លឹមសាររួមរបស់ act របស់យើងហ្នឹងគឺនៅតែនៅលើរូបភាពមួយ act ជឿថាអីទាំងឡាយដែលអ្នកដែលអតិថិជនយើងកំពុងតែរងគ្រោះឬក៏ឈឺចាប់ហ្នឹងវាមិនមែនជារោគសញ្ញាឬក៏ជារោគវិនិច្ឆ័យទេអញ្ចឹងវាគឺជារបៀបមួយដែលគាត់កំពុងតែពិបាកចង់ទៅដល់គោលដៅរបស់គាត់អញ្ចឹង act របស់យើងខុសពីទ្រឹស្ដីដទៃទៀតត្រង់កន្លែងហ្នឹងតិចគាត់ប្រើពាក្យថា trend diagnostic គឺមានន័យថាអត់សំដៅទៅលើការទៅជួសជុលរោគសញ្ញាឬក៏ជួសជុលផ្នែកណាមួយពីជីវិតរបស់គាត់ទេតែជួយឲ្យគាត់ទៅដល់គុណតម្លៃដែលគាត់មានហ្នឹងតាមរយៈការទទួលយកការឈឺចាប់ហ្នឹងដោយមានគោលដៅមួយអញ្ចឹងអីមួយជា message ពី Dr. William មិញគឺ client យើងគឺជាគ្រូម្នាក់របស់យើងដែលយើងរៀនបានច្រើនបំផុតពីពួកគាត់ textbook អត់ដែលបរៀនបានថាអាហ្នឹងបែបហ្នឹង textbook អាចបានត្រឹមប្រាប់ថារូបភាពហ្នឹងអញ្ចេះតែអ្នកដែលបង្រៀនចុងក្រោយនៅតែជាអតិថិជនអញ្ចឹងតាមរយៈអីដែលគាត់ចែកម្លែកមិញហ្នឹងដូចជាអតិថិជនរបស់គាត់នេះ case មួយនេះកាលឡើង10ឆ្នាំមុនហើយគាត់បានស្លាប់ទៅហើយអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសង្ខេបរឿងខ្លីមកវិញម្ដងទៀតបរិសម្នាក់ដែលគាត់បានទទួលរោគវិនិច្ឆ័យដាក់ថាមានជំងឺមហារីកសររយៈពេលខ្លីក្នុងការរស់ហើយគាត់ជាឪពុកម្នាក់របស់កូនប្រុសពីរនាក់គាត់ទៀតអញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់គាត់រោគសញ្ញាដែលត្រូវបានដែលគេហៅ Dr. William ទៅទទួលការគ្រប់គ្រងហ្នឹងគឺរឿងគាត់អត់គេអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាយើងដើរតួជាអ្នកប្រឹក្សាក្តីជាគ្រូពេទ្យក្តីគឺយើងតែងតែឆ្ងល់ហើយគេហៅទៅរឿងអត់គេហើយបានគាត់អត់គេចា៎ខ្ញុំ highlight ឲ្យ link គ្នាជាមួយនឹង theory យើងបន្តិចអីដែលយើងចង់ដឹងវានៅក្នុងថាអីគេ experiential avoidance របស់គាត់រោគសញ្ញាគេប្រាប់មកយើងតែមួយឯងខ្លះអញ្ចឹងអត់គេអញ្ចឹងយើងធ្វើមិនបានដឹងថាគាត់អត់គេភាសារឿងអីអញ្ចឹងគាត់បានទៅជួបគាត់បានត្រូវឃើញថាគាត់មាន passenger 2ដែលធ្វើឲ្យគាត់ ធ្វើឲ្យគាត់ពិបាកទៅអត់ចាប់ដល់គោលដៅដែលគាត់ចង់ធ្វើគោលដៅរបស់គាត់អត់គេហ្នឹងគាត់លើកំពុងតែ hold on ទៅជីវិតរបស់គាត់ហ្នឹងចង់ធ្វើអីមួយដើម្បីកូនរបស់គាត់អញ្ចឹងគាត់បារម្ភអីដែលបារម្ភហ្នឹងការដែលគាត់អត់គេងគឺមិនមែនគាត់ខ្លាចស្លាប់ទេយើងគិតថាគាត់ខ្លាចស្លាប់ប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលយើងចូលស៊ីជម្រៅជាងហ្នឹងទៀតការខ្លាចស្លាប់របស់គាត់ស្មើនឹងគាត់មិនមែនជាឪពុកល្អម្នាក់គាត់ស្លាប់ទៅបាត់ស្មើនឹងអត់មានឪពុកសម្រាប់កូនកូនហើយពេលដែលកូនគាត់ទៅមុខទៅទៀតតើមានអ្នកណាជួយគ្រប់គ្រងជួយត្រួសត្រាយផ្លូវអញ្ចឹងរវាងរឿងដដែលមិញហ្នឹងគឺយើងរកឃើញថាអ្នកជំនួយរបស់យើងនេះអតិថិជនរបស់យើងនេះមាន passenger ពីរគាត់អត់ឆ្លាតគ្រប់គ្រាន់គាត់បើសិនជាគាត់យំគឺគាត់អន់គាត់ទន់ខ្សោយអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលយើងធ្វើការជាមួយគាត់ទៅដល់គោលដៅគឺចង់ធ្វើមិនឲ្យគាត់អាចមានសមត្ថភាពនិយាយជាមួយនឹងកូនរបស់គាត់ទោះបីជា passenger ពីរនាក់ហ្នឹងនៅជាមួយគាត់ passenger ហ្នឹងសូម្បីតែដល់ដង្ហើមចុងក្រោយរបស់គាត់ដែលកំពុងនិយាយហ្នឹងនៅតែប្រាប់គាត់ថាអ្នកឯងអន់អ្នកឯងល្អគ្រប់គ្រាន់នេះប៉ុន្តែអីដែលគាត់ធ្វើបានជាមួយនឹងការឈឺចាប់ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគាត់បានធ្វើវាហើយ1ម៉ោងក្រោយពេលដែលគាត់ត្រូវធ្វើហ្នឹងគឺគាត់បានស្លាប់អញ្ចឹងយើងអាចសម័យមើលឃើញថារូបភាពហ្នឹងខ្ញុំនិយាយរឿងហ្នឹងពីរបីដងក៏ខ្ញុំនៅតែព្រឺសបល់ដែរវាដូចជាកម្លាំងអីមួយពេលខ្លះយើងមើលតាមវិទ្យាសាស្ត្រវាដូចជាពិបាកឆ្លើយប៉ុន្តែរឿងមួយចំនួនហើយបើសិនជាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាចាប់អារម្មណ៍ទៀតមើលទៅលើ final moment របស់ជំងឺច្រើនអ្នកមែនទែនជាពិសេសបើសិនជាមើលទៅជាមួយនឹងគិលានុបដ្ឋាយិកៈដែលមើលថែអ្នកជំងឺដង្ហើមចុងក្រោយហើយរឿងនេះខ្ញុំជួបច្រើនដងដែរឲ្យតែគាត់បានធ្វើអីចុងក្រោយគាត់បានធ្វើរឿងហ្នឹងចុងក្រោយហើយជាទូទៅ1ម៉ោងឬក៏2ម៉ោងឬថ្ងៃបន្ទាប់គឺគាត់ស្លាប់ហើយអានេះខ្ញុំអត់និយាយ relevant ទៅគេប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំចង់និយាយ relevant ទៅលើពេលដែលអ្នកណាម្នាក់គាត់បានបំពេញគោលបំណងគាត់មុនពេលគាត់អស់ដូចជាអាហ្នឹងដង្ហើមចុងក្រោយគាត់ធ្វើឲ្យគាត់អស់ចិត្តស្អែកឡើងគាត់ខូចមកឬក៏យប់ហ្នឹងគាត់ខូចអញ្ចឹង act នេះខ្ញុំ highlight ត្រឡប់មក act វិញហាក់បីដូចជាដំណក់ដង្ហើមចុងក្រោយសឹងតែអត់មានសង្ឃឹមសោះអត់ហ៊ានគេងដោយសារខ្លាចស្លាប់បើស្អីគេខ្លាចបាននិយាយមួយកូនអត់ដឹងកូនមានឪពុកពីណាចុះបើយើងត្រឡប់មកវិញចង់ highlight ពាក្យថាយើងមើលទៅអ្នកជំនួយយើងដូចជាគាត់ជាវីរៈបុរសវីរៈនារីម្នាក់អញ្ចឹងគាត់សុខចិត្ត suffer គាត់ពងតែពិបាកខ្លាំងអត់ហ៊ានគេងទេមូលហេតុគាត់អត់ចង់គេងទេខ្លាចលោកបាត់រឿងនេះអញ្ចឹងយើងមើលទៅវិញអ្នកជំនួយយើងមកអាចយើងឬក៏អតិថិជនដែលមកហ្នឹងគេរៀនពីគាត់ថាម្នាក់សុទ្ធតែមានការរងទុក្ខការឈឺចាប់រៀងខ្លួនហើយអាការឈឺចាប់រៀងខ្លួនរបស់គាត់នឹងឯងដូចជាកំពុងតែជួយគាត់ដើម្បីចង់ឲ្យដល់គោលដៅគាត់
Thank you. So, we have many great opportunities to do good things. So, we'll now go to ACT techniques. So, the idea of ACT is the first step is to create kind of giving up or hopelessness, but not that kind of hopelessness. The idea is we want the client to stop trying to control, to let go of control. And the way we do that is ask them some questions. So I'll practice with you, but I'll just stay way over here. But you kind of say, so what have you been doing to get rid of your depression?
Oh, I try to do a lot of exercise. I talk to friends, and sometimes I do mindfulness and meditation.
And how has that been working for you?
Yeah, it really helped me to feel better. But sometimes I still think about the past, and it makes me feel depressed again.
Right, so the thing you're doing gives you temporary relief, but doesn't give you long-term.
Yes, it is. It's only happy for a short time.
Yeah. So we ask those questions like, what do you want? What have you been doing? And how is that working? 3 questions. And the clients will frequently say, I want to not be depressed. I'm trying to control my thoughts, and it's not working. So you hear that, the 3 questions, you listen for the answers, and if they say, I want to not be depressed, I want to control my thoughts, and it's not working, you just think to yourself, none of those things are going to work. If he were to say, I'm trying to get rid of my depression and I'm totally successful, then we wouldn't be needing therapy. I say, well, good for you. No need for therapy. But most of the time they're coming in saying nothing's working. And in fact, that their efforts at controlling their symptoms is making things worse. So that's what we're doing in step 1 in ACT is creative hopelessness, saying, let's stop doing